Yo, thanks everybody for tuning in. In this video, I'm gonna teach you how I skate. Basically, I'll go through every step of my step, and I'll also explain to you what goes on in my mind as I do it. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Victor Thor, professional skater, and we're about to go fast. So a very common question that I get from a lot of people watching my YouTube is, can you narrow down your skating to a very detailed process on how you do everything when you're skating on a straightaway, how to do the double push and divide it in small stages. I tried to do it previously, but that was giving you examples of drills and motions. And today, with the help of Sophia, we are gonna go skate, and I'll skate behind the car and then gonna film all that. And then I will guide you through how I skate, where I put my feet down, how I push, where I put the pressure, how I lean, my thought process, and just how it looks, combining that with me explaining what you should think about when skating. So I hope that helps out. If not, you'll just have to let us know in the comments.
So here at first, I'm just going to share some of the thoughts that I have, that I believe all skaters should have when trying to be a little more efficient on skates. Then later on, we're going to go into details. I'll pause the video and I'm gonna explain it more step by step. But one thing that I would want everybody to be aware of is that it shouldn't be so much as thinking of it as individual pushes, but more as an ongoing motion. As you can see here, I really try and keep the movement constant, so I'm not just push, roll, That way we can be efficient through the entire push and the recovery and constantly generate speed. You cannot keep up with somebody if you're only pushing half the time. And the other thing, I try not think of it as pushes, but more as a weight transfer, where I use that compression and I use the leverage that the recovery leg creates to generate more power into the ground, but not as a desperate push. I think that is one of the things that really makes the big difference between fitness skater and elite skaters, is that we use the body weight when skating and we don't muscle through the end of the push. So now that we're going here at pretty high speed behind a car, you will see that my step cadence might be a little faster than it would usually be, but the movements is pretty much the same. So the first thing here that I want to slow down and look closer at is where I put down the foot or the leg underneath myself. For multiple reasons, it's easier, and also we can apply more pressure using our body weight. I think of my leg to touch the ground right under my center of gravity. The easiest way to do so is that as long as I focus on my lean and keep that recovery relaxed, it will naturally hit the ground right where it's supposed to, because it's just going to fall onto the asphalt. Of course, as soon as that happens, you would want to apply all your body weight on that leg. If you think about it, the other leg is almost straightened. Oh, here we're quickening up the pace. The other leg is almost straightened. So when that goes into the ground, where you can get out of the other leg, the extended leg is very close to nothing compared to the leg right underneath yourself. You'll find more grip and definitely be able to apply more pressure. That is where you want to focus, and that is where you want to put all your force and power. So when that lands, you shift your body weight immediately onto that leg, and then you use that other recovery leg that I like to think of as being as relaxed as I can. I know I'm also bad at lifting it a little too high, especially if we put a slow-mo in this video, it's easy to see. But I don't think that is something that you should focus on. In order to keep the leg closer to the ground, what you should focus on is having your hips in a solid position, and don't let the upper body tilt down or forward, but instead thinking of keeping the hips under yourself. If you do that, it's going to be limited how far up in the air or how back forward that recovery leg is going to go. It will stay in position and it will be efficient as long as you have the upper body and the hips solid placed underneath yourself. So let that leg loose and use that leverage to create sort of compression in the wheels and the skates that you have underneath yourself, if that makes any sense. So the recovery leg is going to be that leverage that you can kind of feel creates that force into the ground as you roll from the edge, or one edge, to the other edge. We try and screenshot that for a second here, and then look at it at this moment. You see how much leverage you got, how much of your body weight you have on the outside of the skate. You use that to compress it into the ground without steering to the sides, but just feeling that tension, that pressure on the outside. Ideally, I know this is a very difficult part of skating because you need to have everything pointing forward and be very solid in your hips in order to do so. Ideally, the frame itself and the wheels would almost not point to the side, and we would get this sensation of pushing almost with the heels. That is, again, not something one should focus on to try and push with the heels, but that should be the results of having the hips solid facing forward and constantly keeping your shoulder over your knee, over your toes. If you do so, there will be very little twisting. And also by compressing this into the ground and not thinking of it as a single step, well, you're much more likely to finish your pushes to the side. A lot of people are worried about opening up the legs or the feet, so they try and also keep them pointing inwards. Again, I do not recommend that. Feet pointing inwards should definitely be what's happening, but it should be a result, again, of you pointing forward and of you really putting pressure into the legs. Remember, you shouldn't have much pressure left at the end of the push. If we take a look at skating from the side here, well, there's a few other things that we can see. It seems like my upper body is bouncing up and down a little, but actually not that much. It's more the fact that we straighten the leg as it goes underneath ourselves and then straighten it when we push to the side. Try and have a good rhythm in your head here, and this is how I feel. I don't really feel like I push that much from leg to leg. I think more of it like, oh, whenever I want to quicken up the pace, I just speed up how fast I switch my body weight from one side to the other. And if you have a solid core, when you're doing this and start sprinting here, you should feel almost your abs getting sore, because when you pull with the arm, that should go through the legs and create even more of this leverage and counterweight we were just talking about, so that you can speed up that way and feel even more on the ground.
Thanks a lot for watching this video. I hope it helped you skate faster. Subscribe and there'll be more. I'll see you guys